Turkey is a member of the NATO, but how is it that Turkey continues to support Russia?
What is one of the most famous TED talks that you have come across?
How long will we continue? This initial reservation came for 10 years. That some advantage should be given to the people so that they are merged to the mainstream.
During British era, was there any revolution? Any event that you would call a revolution?
May I come in, sir?
Please come.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Dheeraj, eh?
Yes.
Please take a seat, Dheeraj.
Thank you.
Dheeraj, introduce yourself.
Sir, I am Dheeraj. I come from Hyderabad. I've done my graduation in Political Science and International Relations, History and Public Administration. My hobbies are quilling and reading English classic novels and also playing badminton.
Very good. So this is your fourth attempt. Eh?
Yes.
What happened on the previous occasions? You did not learn lessons from your mistakes?
Sir, I would say learning exercises for me. I've reshaped my strategy. I've focused on sectors which are more scoring, and I've tried to build on my strengths and mitigate my weaknesses. Sir.
Okay. You have studied political science in BA, huh?
Yes.
But you have given such a low preference to IFS. Why so much averse?
Sir, I have and still hold an interest in political science, sir. So that is the reason I have given it a third preference, sir. I have given a better
Third or
preference.
fifth preference?
So the third
Foreign
preference.
service?
Yes, sir, third preference.
Third preference, okay.
Sir, I had given a better preference to IAS and IPS, taking into account the public orientedness and more of a contact that these services have with people, sir, compared to IFS.
Okay. So you have some interest in international relations.
Yes.
India is by hostile neighbors. Supposing a war breaks out between China and India, can India rely on Russia?
Sir, I would say if this question was asked in 1970s, I would say Russia could have been a reliable partner. But the realities of today have changed. I would say at best, Russia would be neutral, and at worst, it could support China. The reason being the declaration of the endless friendship, the no-bound friendship between Russia and China. And sir, I do see the deepening of relationship between Russia and China in the context of the sanctions from the West and the alienation
Both are
of
communist countries.
Sir,
Ideological.
more than ideological elements, I would say real political element, the dependence of Russia and China for economic integration, the demand it provides for the Russian oil. I would say there are more political and economic factors which dominate rather than ideological elements.
Turkey is a member of the NATO, but how is it that Turkey continues to support Russia on Ukraine? How come?
Sir, Turkey is a member of NATO, but sir, the calculations of Turkey as it stands has changed, sir, especially since Erdogan has taken the mantle of president of Turkey. He has taken an independent stance, quite nakedly supporting his own national interests. He has been walking the diplomatic tightrope. He has been, for the example of Sweden's accession into NATO. He has considered it for the when US had provided the F-16s. So he has been branding himself as the leader of Islam for his own political.
Now you have studied public administration also in your BA pass course, isn't it?
Yes.
You know something about the Public Service Delivery Act? What is it?
Sir, can you elaborate what you're asking?
There is an act called Public Service Delivery.
Sir, I believe there was a bill that was introduced, but it did not.
Now it has become a law, although it is not being implemented in letter and spirit, but there is a law that if you are in charge of providing the services, you are supposed to provide the services within a limited time-bound manner.
Yes, so the concept of citizen charters and
part of citizen charter. So how would you ensure as a district magistrate that you are able to ensure time-bound services delivery?
So I would focus upon three elements. The first thing I would focus upon is capacity building. Second thing I would look into is the personnel and the human resources. And the third thing is regarding this outreach to the people and an element of checks and balances that are created via this social audits.
Some fine has also to be imposed on the people who are responsible, who fail to provide services. There is a provision in law. You are not aware of that.
I'm not aware of this particular provision, sir.
Okay.
I'll look at it.
I was marking that you have done your graduation from Center for Distance Education. Is that correct?
Yes.
Despite the fact that you had done pretty well in your 12th class. What was the reason for this? And what have you been doing after having done your BA in 2018?
Sir, the transition had happened because in 2015 I had joined IIT Delhi in the computer science department, sir. But in the second year I had dropped out of it and had pursued distance education, sir. Distance education in particular because when I had dropped out, the academic year had already started, so I had to make a choice.
Any specific reason for having dropped out of IIT? Delhi, you mentioned, yeah?
Yes. Sir, my going into IIT Delhi was mostly because of my parents' interest. They wanted me to go into engineering. It was their preference, but I had always this proclivity of going into humanities. So we had an understanding that if I get into IIT and I would spend 1 year there and I would get good grades, that would prove my credentials that I was leaving it not because of my lack of trying or credibility, but rather a proclivity and interest to humanities.
That's so interesting, in fact, because I was trying to fathom as to why you have mentioned merit scholarship at IIT Delhi 2000. So you have been outstanding. You have been an outstanding student. Now tell me one thing, like you have mentioned, co-organized TEDx Osmania University.
Yes.
What is the difference between TED and TEDx?
TED had begun as an event which was mostly based on technology and entrepreneurship and the design, the abbreviation TED. But TEDx is mostly an independently organized event. The X stands for the independently organized event, which also gives a broad range of opportunities for different people from different walks of life to participate in the TED platforms.
What is one of the most famous TED talks that you have come across?
Sir, my favorite was given by one IPS officer, Amit Lodha. He had talked about his own journey in Bihar and his personal transformation, as he states, and the difficulties also which he had gone through.
No, is that TED talk or a TEDx talk?
Sir, it was TED talk.
TED talk.
As far as I can recollect.
Right. But can you mention about a very famous TED talk you've come across?
Sir, there is one talk regarding this procrastination, which is quite famous.
Very nice. Anything else?
Sir,
about schooling system?
Sir, there was one Alex from IIT Bombay, one tech entrepreneur. He had one comment. He had one session regarding this education, sir. He had talked about the lack of initiative and weight being awarded to innovation and innovativeness even in IITs.
Have you watched or heard the talk given by Ken Robinson, which is amongst the very famous TED talks? And what does it talk about? Sir Ken Robinson. Sir Ken Robinson is the person who gave the talk. It's a TED talk.
Sir, I believe I have not watched it. I will look into it.
It's something like why schools kill creativity. What would you like to say about creativity in the context of the Indian education system?
Sir,
you have taken a very bold step. That's why I'm asking this question.
Sir, I would say traditionally, because of the colonial hangover, our systems in the schools have focused mostly about rote education, rote learning, rather than emphasizing on innovation and entrepreneurship and out of the box thinking. But sir, this is gradually changing. The government is trying to encourage innovation. There are these adult tinkering labs that are being introduced, and there is a new climate. There is a new thought in the nation right now because of maybe digital outreach, and a new ambition among the people. They want to climb the social ladder. So I believe times are changing.
You're scaling the people up. That's okay. They are skilled. Let them be from any caste, creed, or anything. Let them come. Let them work. So the core point here is skilling the people, rather than putting somebody into somebody. Suppose you have some capacity in your home and you say, no, this maid will work for you because she is from so and so caste. So we have had sufficient. In fact, we should be looking for a solution by 2047, where we are saying we are progressing 100 years of our independence, that we should do away with all this and skill people and bring them all to the same platform. What is your view on it? How long will we continue? This initial reservation came for 10 years. That some advantage should be given to the people so that they are merged to the mainstream. It is an endless process. It will never happen. If it has not happened for 75 years, how do you think it will happen in another 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? So we must start looking for a solution that we do away with this categorization, creating caste within the caste and cycles, the classes within the classes. So there are both sides to it, plus and the minus. I leave it to you. Okay, you will be reading English classics. Have you read Thomas Hardy? Any of his books? No. Not yet.
No.
Okay, I would recommend start with Mayor of Casterbridge. I think you will like it,
Yes.
with your kind of English background. All right, you are the district magistrate, and you get the information that so and so places has been encroachment is to be removed. Okay, and you do it. And then what will you do if you feel that there are some other encroachments also? One encroachment removed. You will take a holistic view before removing, or you will wait, remove this, and then I'll see whatever happens, wherever it comes next. Okay, I'm bringing your attention to Haldwani. In light of Haldwani, tell me, do you think that is the only structure which was unauthorized construction?
Sir, this specific issue, I would say discrimination should not come on the basis of
No, you are the district magistrate. Accountability, transparency, justice, all those 8 characters of your good governance. Now tell me, as a district magistrate, how will you pick up a bulldozer against a particular structure, knowing fully well that there are hundreds of other structures, similar unauthorized structures? What will you do?
Sir,
Your service is at stake. If you do it, you're conscious. If you don't do it, your service. What will you do now?
Sir, I do accept that there may be many structures, but there has to be start somewhere. So
You start with that.
I would still say rule of law should be followed, and there are procedures that are laid down. Notices should be served, and if it is challenged in the court, we should wait for the court's guidelines, and there is no need to. And we should see that discrimination is not done. Specific regions are not targeted. But sir, at the end of the day, if it is an illegal encroachment and if the procedures are followed, we can go about it.
Okay. Dheeraj, tell me, you mentioned rule of law. What is the difference between rule of law and rule by law?
Sir, rule of law is a doctrine that everyone is equal before law and no one is above it, and people will be treated equally before law. Rule by law does not have this element of fairness. Laws may not be fair and they cannot be challenged. I would give the example of sedition during the British times. People were treated differently based on their race. White men and Indians were treated differently.
Okay. What is in anthropology? What is historical particularism?
Sir, this was a thought that was followed by Franz Boas. He had laid emphasis on looking into the particular history, the evolution of a specific group, rather than generalizing things, which was done by the evolutionists. So he had an emphasis that was laid on fieldwork and a tracing of the specific history of specific societies.
History you've been a student of history. What history would you call the golden era in Indian context?
Sir, there are set specific areas for specific domains, sir. The ancient age was quite popular for this arts and
Which era?
sir, the Guptan age, it was called golden age for the arts and literature that was produced. But sir, I would say if we take a holistic look of what a golden age is, the quality of life, I would say the present times are the best times.
This is not history yet.
Yes.
Okay. Is there a difference between rebellion and revolution? What is it?
Sir, from what I can gather, revolution is more broad-based. It comes from the grassroots and it is violent. Rebellion essentially it is confined to some specific groups which have some specific.
Rebellion is not violent?
Sir, they are also violent. They are violent, but they are confined to some specific groups, social groups. For example, Sipai mutiny was also called a rebellion, and the peasant rebellions. So they are confined to specific class.
During British era, was there any revolution? Any event that you would call a revolution?
Sir, I can think of intellectual revolution. It is not a revolution in the sense of it, but the uptake of English language and the acceptance of new ideas.
But I don't think you can call a mental a revolution. That's not in that context. It's the change of a system, actually. Okay, now, Karl Marx. Did Karl Marx envisage anything that has happened today in any part of the world?
Sir, I believe the Russian Revolution and the coming of communist states was something that he had envisaged. But sir, it has not gone down the lines in which he had thought it would. There was an interregnum. He thought there would be a continuous progression towards a communist and this public dictatorship, people's dictatorship that would come up, but that has not happened.
This will be my last small question. How does society exercise control over the over its various components? I mean the members.
Sir, there are multiple mechanisms. First one is this element of social control, social sanctions. There is a range of options. The easiest of them starts with mockery and isolation or consternation, and the other end is violence and law. So there are a range of elements which the society uses to control.
Very good, thank you.
Your mock interview is over. When is your interview, by the way?
Sir, the dates are not out. It's
not come so far. Okay. And how many mock interviews you have already undergone?
Sir, I've come to Delhi today.
Today.
So this is my first mock interview.
Okay, okay. You have a very good personality. I must compliment you for that.
Sir.
And your confidence level also is very good. Articulation also is very good. You speak very good English. That's really, and above all, your sense of humor also is you very often smile. That's a very great strength which you must make use of. You know? If a person is able to laugh at himself or herself, that will fetch you extra marks. There have been instances when a girl candidate was not able to answer 3-4 questions in succession, and she laughed away at the last question and said, "I'm sorry," and she laughed away, and she got very good marks. Final question was, the presentation was very, very effective, and she was able to make it into the merit list. So laughing at oneself is a very good thing, which you must practice that also. And you have a smiling face, that is also very good. But this is on the positive side. On the negative side, I was observing your gestures and postures. You have a habit of clasping your hands like this. Isko avoid kariye. You understand Hindi, I hope?
Yes.
Just keep your hands on the thighs, always. This is a sign of nervousness. And you are not nervous, so why give an impression? Sure. So keep your thighs. And eye contact also, you must look at others also in a way. Supposing sir has asked you a question, So don't ignore others. Once in a way, look at others, involve them, engage with them also. They are all watching you. They may be noting down something, but they are listening to your views.
Yes.
It's a joint assessment of her personality. तो उसको आप याद रखिए. And you are in the habit of nodding your head too often, excessively. उसको avoid करिए थोड़ा.
Yes.
है ना? At every question which is posed to you, UP-SSC like that you must avoid. Listen to the question very carefully.
Yes.
Because if you nod your head, I don't know what kind of signal you are sending to the board. So don't nod your head. Listen to the question instead, very carefully. Because if you don't listen to the question carefully, you will give wrong answers. Okay?
Sure.
And if you don't, if you are not able to grasp the question, then feel free to request the board, please repeat your questions. I could not understand the question. Could you kindly repeat the question? No harm. It's a very good sign. It shows that you are very confident and you are committed and serious about your job. So eye contact also, I have already said it. A depth analysis, you carry out a depth analysis, self-analysis of your depth. Read it once or twice, generate your own questions, which according to you are definitely going to be asked in the interview. And prepare a list of 40-50 questions. Write down their answers in a register. Practice them. It will help you a great deal. And although your articulation communication skill is very good, but still I would suggest that you communicate with your friends and your peer groups. That is very important. It will help you socialize as much as possible. Socialization is the key to success. If you go on speaking with friends, it will help you. Ask your friends to conduct your mock interviews on the basis of the question generated. That will also be very good. And that's all I have to say. I am very much happy with your performance.
Thank you, sir.
We are impressed with the outstanding performance. Let me say it's outstanding. Although you started, when you entered and you started speaking, I was a bit circumspect. But later on, immediately you picked up actually. I think you looked very serious. आइए मुस्कुराते हुए माने आगे बैठकर मुस्कुराइए बैठ करके. Don't. And then of course the study center would give you the the video recordings or the video audio recordings also. So you'll be able to gauge out what is wrong and what is right. And you have been very, very alert. And especially one question where perhaps about revolution during the Indian national movement, and you gave a smart reply. It depends, what clicks, but you said, yeah, there is no revolution, but there is a revolution of the thought process. It's a wonderful, इसको कहते हैं कि क्या कहते हैं हाजिर जवाब. Great. It's great, I'll tell you. It's great, I'll tell you. Now, I started jumping from point A to point B to point C, just to try to appreciate, because see, ultimately the board always views candidates at different levels, And I came to realize that here is a candidate with a lot of metal. So let us see how much metal does he have. And let me tell you very frankly that you have really performed outstandingly. Now, you have to build up on that. You have to build up on that. And sir has rightly suggested that you talk to your peer group, let them conduct an interview and see some recordings. In fact, जैसे आप चेहरे आप बहुत ज़्यादा सीरियस हो जाते हो, फिर आप में मुस्कुराहट आती है, आपका चेहरे पर मुस्कुराहट आए बैठ करके आए, ठीक है ना? About the delivery, in fact, your articulation is very good, everything is good, but perhaps somehow थोड़ा सा और cogent होना चाहिए. You have confidence, you have knowledge, you have logic, you have an opinion. And the best thing I liked, and you capitalize upon that. Here is one candidate who listens to his heart. He says, no IT. I would do what I like. It's a great, and try to push it at the initial stage. Try to find out, not deliberately push it, but this will come up because the moment they see the gap and they'll say IIT and then what happened, or there's a gap. Push it. Now, this is the fourth attempt. This is the first interview.
So second interview.
Where did you go wrong last time?
So, not in the interview. Interview score was decent.
How much?
182.
182. Yeah. So now आपको barrier जो है ना 220 का break करना है आपको. Then you will break it. I'll tell you.
Yes.
I'll tell you will break it. You have everything that calls for a great candidate. And you've got all the time in the world. Sir has said a lot of good things, in fact, you know. No, don't rest on laurels. Kitab nikaliye, likhiye points ko. Nothing, I mean, it should be a, what you call, something like a zero tolerance and zero error thing, sort of a thing, you know. There cannot be zero error because see, ultimately there are so many views and opinions. But work on that. Practice कीजिए. Also, just चेहरे पे मुस्कुराहट आ जाए. चेहरे मुस्कुराहट आएगा, होता क्या है ना, if the candidate looks listless and perhaps crouchy, so the board also tends to become, you know, placid. You have to engage the board.
Yes.
Initial stage was that. There's one thing more. Like are you going to wear this suit in the interview?
Sir, I had worn this interview in this suit in the last interview.
चलिए तो आपने तो ठीक है, आपके डोमेन की बात है, ठीक है. ये थोड़ा सा ना ये आंख में चमकता बहुत है, इसलिए मैं पूछ रहा था, और कोई रीजन नहीं था. नहीं, you wear it, in fact, you know. We will not give you any recommendation. It's very nice, in fact. You know, only thing is that it's a bit चमकता है तो आंख को थोड़ा लगता है, ऐसा फील होता है. But don't go by our recommendation. Again, listen to your heart. If this has done wonders for you in the last interview, let it do wonders for you in this interview also. Because see, ultimately, these are only outer manifestations. They may shape your marking, they may shape your marks, but the intrinsic worth gets you the right marks. So these are just elements. Right?
Yes.
That's exactly what I wanted to convey, and work on it.
Yes.
And tell them that there is a candidate who listens to his heart.
Yes.
Okay, well, I'm very happy about your correlational aspect.
Yeah.
I asked you about Myanmar, then I took you to Nepal, and then you could correlate that if there was something over here, if things could change and they're dynamic here, they could be dynamic there as well. So we may as well start thinking, debating, talking about it, and seeing whether there is a necessity or not, immediately or maybe later. So that you could correlate. And it's always good to work on a holistic approach. When you come across one incident of a particular type, then as an officer, you must understand what, why, and how. What you have understood, that there is some encroachment and there is a requirement of removing it because of the orders of the court, and that you have to follow.
Yes.
But then it should click in your mind that are there any other encroachments? Should I consolidate these? Should I take some action against it? Likewise, that thing should start ringing in your mind. That is the holistic approach as a district magistrate or whatever levels you reach. And that will show your fairness. That here is one IAS officer who is very fair about things. And you can give your recommendations accordingly. They're implemented, not implemented, besides the point. But at least you have recommended. At least you've done your homework. And you have the same eye for all. And it gives the feeling that you're planning ahead. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Only 2 points I'll take up with reference, specifically with reference to what I asked you. One was on the rebellion and revolution. Give an example of both. Rebellion you did, revolution also, French Revolution, anything that dramatically changed, which was a game changer. That was the purpose of the question. It was almost like a full toss and you hit a 6 on that. So there you could have, come out with one. Number 2, Karl Marx. A question on Karl Marx you can expect for 2 reasons. One is you have been a PSIR history student, also PSIR, and through, of course. So Karl Marx may start with Das Kapital. That is the way to start with Karl Marx. This is where he gave his theory, and this is the theory which went wrong. I mean, Hegel, everybody later on said that you are not very correct in your assessment, and went wrong especially you made the correct point of Russia, but you failed to say that it slid back.
Yes.
That is how it failed, because it slid back. From communism is supposed to be the utopia, where once you go, you don't come back. That is the ultimate. But there it came back. So it slid in a way, it failed. So whatever. So these are only 2 observations. But otherwise, I found your answers to be very, very impressive. You were very impressive in your articulation also. Keep it up. Read 2 newspapers till your this thing goes, because that will give you a clue to what could be the questions that day. Okay. So, all the best.
This time you must target 200 in the interviews minimum.
भैया आप काम कर कुछ नहीं कर रहे भैया.
Are you doing something? Are you in a job?
Working?
Flights,
Are you working somewhere?
Are you not?
So try to think something about this. So because you passed out, which year was that?
2019.
2019. So think about. I mean, speak. I mean, I'm not asking you to speak the untruth or a lie, but work upon as to what you've been doing.
So, on these lines, I was thinking of answering that I was working in the NGO.
Right, good enough.
Yeah.
But
Yes,
prepare for the
very
NGO.
good.
Yes, prepare for the NGO.
You're not wasting your time. You're
Not wasting
utilizing
your
your
time.
time.
Because see,
That's a very
See,
good.
the board always tends to get more impressed the people who are working. I mean, but it's not a bias. I don't want to create any bias. But if you're able to explain 3 or 4 years, that also is very important. Okay. Right?
Okay.
Anything else?
Any questions? Any doubt?
Sir, nothing specific.
Thank you. Then
Thank you.
all the
Where,
best. to
where
you.
do we see your name in the list? All the best.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.